what we're trying to do is put this on the agenda for policymakers. And this podcast was recorded the second week of March, and earlier this week we had this executive bill from the White House. What is your view on that, Andy? Is that going to help our efforts in advocating the token economy?
Well, I'm going to answer that question slightly differently, because I think regulation. So I come from the enterprise world, and we have to work in an environment where we are compliant and we comply with the regulations. And I think one of the big things that's really needed for this token economy is a new landscape of regulation. And when I kind of look back and ask ourselves, well, why have we got a lot of this regulation? KYC, AML, all this healthcare regulation. A lot of it is to do with problems that we've kind of inherited from Web 2. This idea of all these abuses of data, the fact that the individual doesn't control their data. So we have all of this regulation, right? And as we move into a Web 3 environment, I think we change that whole regulatory landscape, because when the individual is now in charge of their data, be this in the healthcare data where the patient maybe controls access to that data, or maybe be it financial transactions where you have personal identifiable information next to that transaction, the whole need for KYC, this financial surveillance, the whole need for protecting the patient from people abusing that data starts to change. So I think there's a real need to change the regulatory environment, and it's great to see that America is kind of leading that way. I remember in Wyoming, I think they were one of the first to approve DAOs and decentralized autonomous organizations and start regulating around that. So I think the whole regulatory landscape is really, really key. I'm not 100% familiar with what Biden has just done, other than I guess we're starting to think about cryptocurrencies being serious players now in the financial landscape. And you can see this. If you look at what's happening in Ukraine, for example, you start thinking and say, well, gosh, is Bitcoin going to start becoming a reserve currency now? So we're going to have a regulatory environment to cope with this. So I haven't answered your question directly because I haven't poured through exactly what Biden has done, but I do think we have to see this change in regulation to really enable the token economy.
You can find it on LinkedIn and on the internet, but the couple of executive orders, the first three are really more of the same. Protect the consumer. Do a lot about KYC. Make sure that the interest of the government is all that we know. So then you tend to think, how is that going to help crypto assets and crypto and tokenization? But then the latter three executive orders are all about innovation, making sure that decentralized environments and DeFi are going to be, and that America is going to take the charge in that. So I think overall we should be happy that America is going to lead the way. Because here in Europe with MiCA, and we're also trying to align all these different laws. And that was the purpose of Two Tokens, right? To create a roadmap and help companies and organizations navigate the wilderness, the jungle of what is necessary to get anything done in terms of legal, regulatory, and what have you. And